Hi there, it's Alexia Hupin. Welcome to Wine by Alex, the show to watch to take your wine game to the next level. Today you're watching the first episode of Ask Wine by Alex of 2021. And I've got a question from Alessio of Alevente 91. Alex, can you remind me of the basics of food and wine pairing? Alessio, that's such a great question. I've done a few posts about this topic a while ago, and I was actually thinking to do a video to refresh the information. So you're right on time, my friend. First of all, there are a few things to take into account when you pair food with wine. You should keep in mind that everyone's perception and taste are completely different. Some people are very sensitive, others don't. The same level of sweetness or acidity can be perceived totally differently by two persons. On top of that, we all have our own personal tastes. Some people like bitterness, others don't. Every one of us is totally different. So you might enjoy your pairings, but it may not be the case of the people around you. Food and wine have a mutual influence of each other. But note that food is most often responsible of bad interactions and not wine. The goal here is to have more pleasure having food and wine together rather than separately. And also, the aim is to avoid any unfortunate pairings. Now that everything is settled, let's dive into the basics of food and wine pairing. You've got to understand there are two elements in food that will improve wine and two elements that will spoil it. So I will start with the two elements that will improve the wine you're tasting. These ones are acidity and saltiness. They both increase pleasant sensations in the wine, which are sweetness, fruitiness, and body. They also decrease the unpleasant sensations in the wine you're tasting, like astringency, bitterness, and too strong acidity. Salty meals go with basically every wine, and the great thing is that they will enhance the aromas of the wine you're tasting. So it's all beneficial to you. Be careful to pair acid meals with wines that are even more acidic. Otherwise, they'll just seem flat and without a point. So when you have meals with acidity and saltiness, think about Champagne, Muscadet, Sauvignon Blanc, Albarino, Riesling, you name it. Now let's talk about the two elements in food that will be unfavorable to the wine. These ones are sweetness and umami. Not only they increase unpleasant sensations in wine, astringency, bitterness, and too strong acidity and alcohol burn, but they will also decrease the pleasant sensations like sweetness, fruitiness, and body. So as you probably guessed by now, they are quite hard to pair with wine. But before I go on, do you know what is umami? It's a taste that combines saltiness and bitterness. You will often find it in Asian food like soy sauce or miso soup, but you will also find it in asparagus, eggs, mushrooms, and oysters. You need to pair sweet meals with wines that are even sweeter. This way you will increase their fruitiness and balance the acidity that might be increased by the food. Meals that contain umami need to be paired with very fruity wines, and if you want to pair it with a red wine, choose one that has low tannins. This way you will increase the fruitiness and diminish the astringent sensations of the tannins. So when you have meals with umami, think about Beaujolais, Unoaked Pinot Noir or Chardonnay from Mâcon, for example. When you have sweet meals, go all out with a Sauterne, Barsac, Tokayasu or a Pedro Jiménez. The basics being set, you've got other considerations that you can take into account when you pair wine with food. Spicy food can be tricky to pair with wine because the spiciness of the food will increase the alcohol burn of the wine, but also the bitterness. So when you have spicy food, think about wines with low tannins and low alcohol. Also try to choose very fruity wines with a bit of sweetness, like Pinot Gris, for example. I said earlier that food and wine pairings are supposed to give you more pleasure than if you were having the food or the wine separately. This means you also have to consider the aromatic intensity when you make your pairings. You don't want to have one element completely hidden by the other one. So try to match the aromatic intensity of both elements together. If you have a meal with low aromatic intensity, like oysters or seashell, pair it with a wine that has a low aromatic intensity as well, like a Blanc de Blanc Champagne, Muscadet or Chenin Blanc. On the other hand, if you have food with a strong aromatic intensity, like game, pair it with an aromatic wine, like Cabernet Sauvignon or Syrah, for example. Another thing you can play with is fat and acidity. Fat food will tend to be heavy on your palate, whereas wine's acidity will cut through it and refresh your palate. So when you have creamy meals, junk food or chocolate, think about acidic wines like Sauvignon Blanc, Riesling, Chenin Blanc for white wines, but you can also think about Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Pinot Noir for reds. The last thing I want to tell you is that what grows together goes together. So consider doing regional food and wine pairings. The classic French examples can be goat's crottin from Chavignol with a Sancerre or a Pouilly fumé. You can do oysters with Muscadet Sèvres-Yémen, foie gras with Loupiac or Montbazillac, Comté cheese with vin jaune, Burgundy beef stew with Bourgogne Pinot Noir, and so on. There are plenty of possibilities here. Let's end this video on something really special I want to tell you. I just want you to have fun with food and wine pairing, guys. Now you know there are plenty of things to take into account when you pair food with wine. You can take into account personal sensitivities, preferences, basic rules I just told you before, but since everyone is completely different, some people might actually enjoy strong or unusual sensations. In fact, most people will actually like most foods with most wines. So don't lock yourself into the classic pairings like red wine with meat or white wine with fish. You just have to try new things, be adventurous and have fun. Worst case scenario, your pairing doesn't work. So what? Now you know it doesn't work and next time you'll try something else. At least you tried something instead of playing safe and never discover anything. Well, that's all for today. I hope this will help you to make better pairings for you and your loved ones. Now I would love to hear from you. What's your favorite food and wine pairing of all time? Do you rather follow these rules or play it wild? If you liked this video, subscribe and share with your friends. And if you want more awesome resources to take your wine game to the next level, come on over to winebyalex.com and make sure you get in the loop of my weekly email updates. You will also receive my free ebook where I will give you my top habits to improve your wine tasting skills. Thank you so much for watching this episode and I will see you soon on Wine by Alex. Cheers!